The English Podcast by Ecsplicite. Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm Lawrence and this is Fly on the Wall, in which we give a voice to our colleagues around the world who watch and comment on subjects of interest and importance in the news. Here in France, there is only one sport in town, and today Kevin, our rugby correspondent in South Africa, looks back at the quarter-final matches and shares his thoughts on why the Southern Hemisphere teams so dominate the competition, and why, indeed, France was never likely to win. Listen out for some phrasal expressions. Squeeze in, outthink, outplay, and outmuscle. Check out the expression bragging rights and see if you understand the idea of BMT. So let's go straight over to Kevin now to get his verdict on the quarter-finals of the Rugby World Cup in France 2023.
Hi, my name's Kevin and I am a very proud Springbok rugby supporter, and of course we are the current reigning world champions, and I would like to share with you a few thoughts I have on the current Rugby World Championship which is being played in France at the moment.
So Kevin, I guess you were glued to your television screen for the quarterfinals.
What a great weekend of rugby. High quality, exciting, edge of your seat stuff. I think it was just highlighted by the quarterfinal game between France and the Springboks last night. And of course, the Springboks managed to squeeze in and win by that one solitary point.
In our pre-match exchanges, you said you were worried that Antoine Dupont, the French captain, wouldn't be fit for the match against the Springboks.
I must say that I was very happy that Antoine Dupont played. I think he was inspirational. He led from the front and it was inspirational. However, it wasn't good enough. And the Southern Hemisphere teams dominate again for another 4 years, as 3 of the 4 semi-finalists are all from the Southern Hemisphere. And of course, it gives the Southern Hemisphere teams the bragging rights over Northern Hemisphere, because we have won the rugby tournament 8 out of 9 times, with New Zealand winning it 3 times, South Africa 3, Australia twice, and poor old England only once.
But come on, admit it, you must have had a few doubts about whether your team was going to win.
That nobody knew what the result was going to be until the final whistle blew. It was so close and so exciting, and I think it comes down to the BMT, the big match temperament, and I think that it goes to prove that South Africa have got that more so than the French.
And yet, it was a great match, wasn't it?
I have to admit, if I'm totally honest, that I think that the French team, for a large portion of the game, outthought, outplayed, and very surprisingly, outmuscled the South African team. Because they have made the final twice, but they have never won the tournament, France just doesn't have the BMT. I think they're a good team, but they just don't have that mental toughness to win a World Cup. It was a match that was worthy of a World Cup final, and it was actually a shame that there had to be a loser. But well done to the Springboks. The flags are flying high in South Africa. We are excited. The next team will be England, and then I'm very sure it will be a final between the All Blacks and the Springboks in 2 weeks' time.
Thanks, Kevin, for sharing your thoughts. Let's listen again to those phrasal verb expressions I mentioned in the introduction. To squeeze in.
Springboks managed to squeeze in and win by that one solitary point.
Bragging rights.
And of course, it gives the Southern Hemisphere teams the bragging rights over Northern Hemisphere.
To outthink, outplay, and outmuscle.
I have to admit, if I'm totally honest, that I think that the French team, for a large portion of the game, outthought, outplayed, and very surprisingly, outmuscled the South African team.
and the expression BMT?
I think it comes down to the BMT, the big match temperament.
So that brings us to the end of today's podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. And whether you did or whether you didn't, do please leave us a comment and let us know what you think, either on LinkedIn or wherever you got this podcast. Tune in again in 2 weeks for the next fly-on-the-wall interview with one of our colleagues from around the world who's commenting on something that has caught their attention in the headlines. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.